Yeah, I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow, call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love, still gonna die for what I love, still gonna try, I won't give up, still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. Some injuries, mentally and physically. Studied them religiously so I don't repeat history. And people won't admit to me they don't want a victory bad enough to get a C. They'd rather just go leave it be. And oh, this journey I've been on since 13, working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no.
All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome to another weekend update. You guys, we have made it. We have arrived. It is the 24th of February, the last weekend in February, and we've survived and we've made it here. Thanks for tuning in. So as you guys know, this is a chance for us to come together on the weekends. We talk about, I give you my update as far as what's going on in the writing sphere, but then we talk about, motivation, thoughts for the week, stuff to keep us going in this content creator space, because sometimes it can be a little down and, in the dumps, and we get it. That's why we're here for one another. But who exactly is here? Well, we have this amazing community listed up top called the Dying Breed. That's what I call them. They're my Patreon followers and supporters, and I honestly can say that I don't think I would be here without them, because they've continued to support me throughout this journey, and now we just really support one another. And who exactly are these people? Well, of course, it's Warrior Bernard, Fighters Maxwell, Foster, and Q. We have Soldiers Boslow, Wolfie, and Unwired, and of course, Defenders LG, Jodan, and Miss Aoife. So thank you so much, you guys. And man, like I said, I would not be here without you. So of course, we've already got this amazing person coming into the chat, Mr. Richie A. Stevens over from the Stats on Stats podcast. Oh no, TJ's going to bully me. Nah, man, come on. We ain't about that. I give you a hard time, but I don't know about bullying. So yeah, dude, thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Well, let's just go ahead and jump right into it because I do have one or two things that I'm really excited to talk about. JD Glasscock, what's popping? Man, it's good to see you. Yeah, there was a tweet by a great individual, Michael Stackpole. He is a New York Times bestselling author. Wrote Star Wars, Gears of War, BattleTech. He has just been writing within the sci-fi world for a while now, and he posted out a tweet 2 days ago that I commented on that I liked. And I'm really excited with the fact that I've gotten to meet Michael in person twice and spend time talking to him. So I wanted to share his tweet because I really resonate with it. And we'll get into that. And then I saw another post earlier, I think it was yesterday or today, that I was like, this is perfect. We need to talk about this and use this for some motivation. So that's what we're going to get into today. Chat and Stats is the new official name, but forever Stats on Stats. All right, Chat and Stats it is. Let's chat it up, Johnny. I'm supposed to be writing. You are, my friend, you are. But you know what? You're in that full-time status, so you're allowed to take breaks and hang out. It's all good. I finished my superhero book and now editing. Dude, congratulations, man. That is such a great feeling, JD. And I fully understand exactly where you're at with that. I as well am going through the editing process, and yeah, I completely understand how rough that can be. So let's go ahead and get into it. So this week, obviously, I didn't get a whole lot of writing done because I am in the editing just like JD. With that being said, I did get some writing in on Sunday of last week. I got 763 words in, I think, and it was just nice to sit down and just slowly type out some stuff, right? Getting back into the rhythm of things. And this is, of course, my third project, my third series, known as Project General Motors. And it was definitely a change of pace, but it was definitely hard because I was getting ready for the editing mindset in one series while still trying to write in the third series, and balancing that two out was really rough. This week has been hell, but today is my Friday and I'm off the next 2 days, and I am taking time to get back into my headspace of I'm a badass and I'm good at what I do. Dude, I understand, man. I am right there with you. This week was really interesting for me on the work side of things and then on the editing side of things as well, so yeah, resiliency, building yourself up, that is all what we're going to talk about. And actually that builds into a lot of the thoughts and the things that I found this week to talk about. So this is good, man. I'm glad that you're here. First day to have some time to myself to write. Been flat out all week. Dude, I'm sorry. Nick Boswell coming into the chat, who's also listed right up there as one of our soldiers. Thanks for coming in, man. But dude, I get it, dude. I get it. Okay, so let's get back. The writing updates. I got 763 words in this past Sunday, which was good. It was hard to balance it out, but for those of you in the Patreon, they know I finished book 3 of Bloodbath. It was all done. I threw it into the book on Monday, Monday, started to format it, started to get it all ready to go. And then I started to dive into the editing side. And as I was rereading it, it was really fun because, you're rereading work that I haven't seen since November. And I'm going over it. I'm like, oh man, this was a really good part. Okay, I like this. I liked how I put that. And then I realized that I completely rewrote or wrote over an entire chapter of the book. It's about chapter 13, I think. And it's not like you can simply pass right over it, like go from one chapter to the next, and it wouldn't be that big of a jump, but it would be noticeable to where people are like, wait a minute, you just talked about this here, and now you're talking about it being done and over with, but like what happened? So I had to stop myself, and it was so frustrating because when you're in the editing mode, it's just as exhausting, if not more exhausting, when you're writing. But now it's the fact of I need to go in and rewrite an entire chapter. And I know I had some really funny jokes in there, some really good dark humor in there. And of course, it's now all gone. I checked all of my backups. I checked everything. And yeah, that whole chapter is gone. So For those of you who do remember, I did this earlier. I realized I did this earlier with another chapter. I think it was chapter 24 that I wrote over and didn't realize it. Thankfully, chapter 24 is a lot smaller of a chapter than chapter 13, I think it is. But the good thing is chapter 13 is a mission that Trevor goes on. So for those of you who know what Bloodbath is about and the missions, it's a mission he goes on. I honestly will be able to rewrite it. It won't be that bad. And the other part about this is now I think the chapter is about 3,000 long. Now that the book is done, I'm just like, nope, we are simply going to write this and be done with it and move on. And then for chapter 24, sorry, I'm going to mute my phone here really quick. I forgot to do that. So then with chapter 24, there's just a little bit of dialogue, a little bit of explanation of what's going on within the story and how it got to that point. So I think it's not going to be that big of a deal. But it's just exhausting, right? Like you think you're done. You get to the end, you hit save, you throw the manuscript together, and you're like, yes, I'm done. Okay, now all we have to do is edit it. And then when you're editing, you realize you made this mistake, you made this error, and you're still not done. Gosh. But with that being said, let me go ahead and pull this up really quick. Whoopsies. Nope, that is not the file I want. Let's go ahead and close this out so I can tell you guys exactly where I'm at. That's not it. Slaughterhouse. Whoops. Edits. Temp. Okay, so let's see here. Where's the total at? All right, so out of 424 pages, I am currently sitting at a page 153 of going through the edits, right? Depending on the editing side, I've been able to get just about 25 to 50 per day, just about that range, right? Which is actually really good, I think. And obviously that range is going to vary depending on your content, your material, and how much you need to actually edit, how much it needs to be corrected. But one of the things that I'm starting to see with this book is I feel like I have a lot less errors that need to be corrected. Some of the errors are just tightening up my sentences where I have a run-on sentence and I just need to, instead of the commas, I need to put the period, move on, do those things. And then the other part that I'm starting to see is just looking at those duplications or looking at, I phrase this almost exactly back to back, these two sentences. I need to switch it up. I need to swap it around so that it flows better, so that it's easier to digest and it doesn't sound repetitive. Those have been the two biggest things besides me rewriting my chapters. Those have been the two biggest things that I found in this editing process. And additionally, I just feel like book 3 is just so nicely written. There's so much good flow and pacing to it and development that I don't know. It's just such a more natural written book, in my opinion. So there's that. Oh, we've got Mr. Unwired coming in. Totally feel for you, dude. That was rough. JD, I haven't just lost a chapter, but I've been 1,000 words into a chapter and realized it wasn't working, had to delete it and start over. JD, dude, I feel you, brother. I did 11,000 words of chapter 1 in Bloodbath's story, completely deleted it all. We went straight from the prologue into chapter 2, which became chapter 1, and just rephrased it. I totally get that. And the prologue for Bloodbath, I wrote 3 different prologues. The first 2 prologues were completely separate, and they were both about 1,500 to 2,000 words each. Neither of them fit. It wasn't right. It wasn't working. I completely scrapped them. But the third prologue, I was like, yep, this is exactly what we need. So, dude, I feel you on that. Buddy, it's the worst. I've written like 30,000 in the wrong direction and realized that it all needed to be cut to save the story. That was book 2. In book 3, I cut 20,000 because it went in the wrong direction. It's never easy. Yep. Right here, man. Amazon bestseller, talking about it, keeping it real. It is what it is, you guys, right? This is a part of writing. And actually, I think this really ties in well to the thoughts and the stuff we're going to talk about with this tweet and this photo. So, yeah. Ryan Maxwell, the writing rhino, or rhino writing. Rhino writing rhino. The rhino that's writing about rhinos. There we go. What's up, bro? Dude, it's good to see you. You may have a package in the mail coming to you, good sir. That was one of the other things that I really enjoyed doing yesterday was Thursday night. I stayed up a little bit past bedtime, but I packaged up almost all of the books that we needed to ship out to our Patreon members. We had some extra packages in there to surprise some individuals because of Warrior Bernard, that beautiful individual. That dude alone, we sent out some books to some of his friends and family that he's bought in the past just to say thanks for him. So yeah, we sent out like 26 books yesterday. I think it is 26 that we sent out. So Ryan, you got some books coming to you, brother. Thanks for all your support. Thanks for being here. I haven't gotten any reading time in this week, and that has kicked my ass. Not to mention I was in the booth for 0 hours, and that really discouraged me. Dude, I understand, man. And you know what? It's okay. Today was the first time this week that I got any reading in, and I wasn't able to immerse myself in the book. It was just noise in the background. So I totally understand. And it's the same way with writing. There's days or there's even weeks when you can't get in there and you feel like you're stalling your progress, but that's okay. You need that time away. You need that break. It's a part of life. Don't beat yourself up, man. Do not beat yourself up. And that actually is a part of one of the videos that we have for you today. The Writing Rhino. Awesome. I need all the books. Dude, yeah. Yeah, man. I was happy to get those in the mail to you. All right. So, yeah. So that's really the update, you guys. With that being said, if I can maintain this, if I can get 150 pages read or edited this week, that will put me at 300. That will put me just about on cue to meet the deadline for my editor, Daniel. And yeah, I mean, then book 3 will be off to him and it'll be ready to go. So we're excited, man. I'm excited. We're just about there. And then, of course, we have to dive into editing book 1 and book 2 again. So the editing never stops. The writing never stops. And yes, this is pushing me back from getting to where I like, just like kind of Richie said, I'm being stalled out from the progression that I want. But at the end of the day, I know the long-term goal and I know the long-term vision. And all of this is a part of the process, which is just going to continue to develop it over time. So yes, it may not be as fast-paced as I wanted to. It may be delayed in nature, but it is still progress towards the end goal or the end state. So you can't beat yourself up over it. All right, got to hop off, but I'll catch up on this later. Good to see you, man. Good to see you too, bro. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. So those are the updates, right? Those are my updates. Book 2 of The Dying Breed, the audiobook, is still coming along. We're still working on it, still making progress. So, you know, there's that. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and let's get into, where do I want to start? Let's go ahead and start with this. So I found this, like I said, I think I found it yesterday or this morning. And as soon as I read it, I was like, yep, this is exactly spot on. So this comes from Matthew J. Crocker. Want to make sure we give him the full credit. My first book taught me I could write. My second book taught me my method. My third book taught me my voice. All will never be published as is, and all were invaluable. Writers, every word you write teaches, makes you better, so write bravely. And this is where I'm so glad that I did not stick to my mindset of just writing one book. right? And this, I would say, is truly the progression of things. And like we've talked about on the channel, the word count that I have of 800 and something thousand, 800 and 1700,000 words, those are all XP, right? I am building up my XP to help me grow in this process because it's all experience, it's all knowledge. And this is exactly it. When we start out and we have the doubt of, I don't think I can do this, I don't know if I'm good enough, I don't know if I have the time, the skills, the abilities. That first book is going to teach you that you can write a book. That second book is going to teach you the method of approach that really works well for you. Book 1 took me 6 months. Even though I planned it out, I knew exactly where I was going in the story. I knew exactly how I was going to get there, etc., etc. It took me 6 months because I was still having to teach myself and encourage myself that I could make it happen. But then with book 2, it only took me a month to write. Now, granted, I was on vacation time. I had nothing else going on, but I knew exactly the fact of I can get in there, I can write it, I can be done, and boom, it happened. I forced it to, I willed it into existence, right? And then book 3 taught me my voice. Book 3 of The Dying Breed is when I was working full time. I was getting up early. I was writing after work. I was doing everything I could to bring it to life. And that's when we find Drebin the Dreadful and some of these characters that really were brought to life because I learned much better of how to find my voice as a writer and what I wanted to say. All of these books are going to teach you things along the way, and it's going to help you grow. And so, as we've talked about before, there's only one way to gain confidence, and that's by doing. There's only one way that you're going to be able to become better, and that's by doing it. So your confidence is going to grow, your experience is going to grow, your skills are going to grow by continually pushing yourself to reach the next level. So that's where all of these books that you've written before are invaluable. They're priceless. And it's not necessarily priceless for the reader, it's priceless for you as the writer. So many of our authors that we know today that are our favorite were writing for years before they were discovered. Anywhere in the indie space from Matt Dinniman, who wrote multiple books for over 20 years before he blew up. J.K. Rowling, who was writing a mass amount of books before Harry Potter. She was writing under different pen names, and she actually went back and was discovered to be writing under a pen name after Harry Potter. So all of these things are going to continue to help you grow and become better. And that first story is where your heart's going to be because it is where all of these new experiences and skills started. But then you're going to take it on into the next exciting adventure. And that's where your readers are going to continue to fall in love because you're going to bring them these new stories and these new exciting ideas. This is great, TJ. Skill unlocked. You can write. Skill unlocked. Know your method. Skill unlocked. Writer's voice. Synergy detected. Absolutely, my friend. Absolutely. Okay, so this is, hopefully, like he said, write bravely. Write that story that you want to write. Don't be afraid of the norms of like, oh, well, this isn't really trending. This. You know what? Readers don't know exactly what they're ready for next until they find it and say, this is exactly what I want. Right now, I want that superhero story. Oh, man, this is awesome. I want this. I want that academy story. I want this pirate dungeon story. I want all of these different things, but I don't know I want it until I find it. And it has to be the author who is brave and bold and courageous to write the story that the readers don't even know they love yet. So go out there, man, and write bravely and write boldly and don't hold anything back. Now, let's go ahead and let's shift. Let's transition in to our good friend Michael Stackpole's tweet or X, Twix, whatever. Okay. A point of personal preference. I hate the term pantser. It is an inelegant word. Full disclosure, I 1,000% agree. I personally hate the term pantster. I think it's a terrible term. I think it is not good. And it's just like the word pivot. When people talk about, oh, we pivoted over here, we just need to pivot, that just drives me up a wall because I think it's the dumbest term ever. So, anyways, full disclosure. The fact is that planner and pantster dichotomy is false and encourages inexperienced writers to slot themselves into a category to which they may not belong. And let me explain. Now, I want to also be fully clear and transparent up front. I have gotten to have this conversation with Michael Stackpole in person, face to face, and I 100% agree. And also, not only is Michael Stackpole a New York Times bestselling author, been writing books for over 35 years, he also goes in and freely teaches at Arizona State University in writing classes to try to encourage writers. So if you may not agree, but I fully agree. So let's continue to go on. Plotters, it is suggested, do all their work up front and just charge through. They have a goal in mind and go for it. But the reality is that through lines begun at the start fall apart, and new ones appear that run through the rest of the book. The discovery writers begin writing, looking to find those through lines that help them develop the characters they are playing with. In this process, storylines that looked good at the start get abandoned, and other storylines come into play and get followed throughout. For both writers, in redrafting the book, they have to make the same decisions. Firstly, do they cut the storylines that petered out, or do they add more material to extend them through the book? Second, they have to shape the character's growth arc into something that works. So both writers, no matter how they self-identify, do exactly the same work. Planners work off the illusion they know where they're going and fix things later. Discovery writers know they'll get somewhere and fix things later. The work is the same, the order is different. The reason that this dichotomy annoys me is that writers limit themselves by choosing a side. And let's face it, planners are usually treated as lesser creatures than discovery writers, who are seen as more free and creative and artistic. The simple fact is that being flexible is the key to good writing. Each project requires its own approach, and each writer needs to be comfortable with the demands of the project. Self-limiting because a larger community wants to segregate writers is a horrible thing. We are all writers. We write. How we get to the end of the story, how we start it, and how we perfect it depends on our skill levels, our time, our mood, and desires, and on the project itself. Don't let others' petty desires to pigeonhole you hobble you. Be you, write as you will. How is that not spot on? And that's where I know my strength is more on the planning side of things. The more I try to discovery write rather than the pantster, the more I try to discovery write, the more mentally exhausted I get. Whereas if I just devote the time up front to plan it out, the more I'll be able to see the path ahead and go with there. But like Michael says, you have to be able to know how to dance between both. And granted, Michael has been a hybrid writer, which means he started out traditionally published. He has also done some self-publishing. He's gone back and forth, but he is mainly on the traditional side. The reason I say that is when he started out traditionally published, he had many months to write these manuscripts, to read over them multiple times, to re-edit them multiple times, to make sure the flow and all these things were going on all fit together. Whereas on the indie side of things, we are such shorter time spans normally, also depending on the genre, that we sometimes don't take the time to just sit back, reflect, and think over the manuscript and really make sure we've tied all the ends we want to. So have the ability to be flexible. Obviously, I need to do some planning. Obviously, I need to do some discovery and let the story morph itself over time in the direction it needs to go, but I shouldn't necessarily abandon everything. So that's where I really like his approach. I love what he said, and I like the fact that he has discovery. He uses the term discovery, and what did he say? Planning? Was that the other one he used? Planners, yeah. Planners and discoverers. I think that's a much more better term than pantstering. Ugh. But for those of you watching, let me know in the chat. What do you guys think of what Michael said? Tweeter, twit, twat, probably one of those. Twix. Yeah, I'm going to send out a Twix here real quick. So for you guys who are watching, put it in the chat. Let me know your thoughts. I'm going to go turn the heat down in my apartment because I'm starting to roast. So go ahead and put those comments up. I will be back in about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't believe in destiny. I just do what's best on me. Don't listen to my knees. They're just jealous. This legacy. Gon' see what's left of me. Gon' see success in me. Ain't seen no less. I just do what I want. I'm better than the rest. Just watch me. Put me to the test and watch me go.
All right, I'm back. Did y'all miss me? I feel like you missed me. I got a dip so I can finish up at work, but I'll have to reread what he said so I can try to focus fully on it and not half the quote and half focus on work. Okay, dude, I totally get it, man. And yes, be sure you tune in so you can get those motivational videos, man. Keep being you. You're awesome, Richie. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon. I like the idea of planning out the foundation, like you showed in your storyboards, world, system, people, problems, and then kind of doing the discovery from there. Not sure what that makes me a new writer, I think. Well, I think you're exactly hitting, Rob, what Michael is talking about. You have to know how to balance between both worlds. There takes a side of planning and knowing all of the details, and then there takes some discovery of, okay, I know I want to go here, but what am I going to do here? What's the character's main focus, motivation, concerns, all those things, conflict and resolution. So there's definitely a little bit of both and having to know both. But yeah, I mean, you can come up with your own term for sure. I am the captain of my writing vessel. Hoo-yah. Thank, buddy. Love you too. Love you guys. Thank, buddy. Thank, buddy. Thank, buddy. Love you. Yeah, dude, so that's where I was thinking about this too. 3-point superhero landing. Hail, John Douglas. Thanks for coming in, my man. It's great to see you. I think Michael really hit on this really well because I know this about myself. And in writing my third book series, the first, what is it now? 7,000, 6,000 words of writing it have been all that discovery process. But at the same point, I already had a plan out in my head. I knew the prologue. I knew what chapter 1 was going to be. I knew what chapter 2 was going to be. I pretty much know what chapter 3 is going to be, but I know that it's just so mentally exhausting. And so I do plan, once I'm done with Bloodbath, to go in and start actually planning out and storyboarding where I want to go. Now, the discovery, I think, is going to be mostly in the characters. Though I know a lot of what I want from the main character point of view and some of these side characters, I want them to really come to life within the story as we go about this discovery. So I at least know that I need to come back to the planning phase and make sure I really plot it all out in order for it to have the landing that I want with the readers, if that makes sense. So, but yeah. I think I 100% agree with Michael. That's where I was really happy. commented on the tweet and I was like, dude, I 100% agree. So well said. And so it meant a lot that he liked my comment, my reply. So, and of course, as Michael knows, Michael, you're always welcome to come and do a live stream interview with me. I would absolutely love that. So yeah, so that is the thoughts. And let's get into some motivation now, you guys, because that's, of course, probably my most favorite part of our weekends is doing the motivation. And I think you guys will see that it all ties in really well together.
The research is clear on this. Being hard on yourself is not motivating. It's demotivating. And if you already feel like a failure or you feel a sense of shame or you're overwhelmed, beating yourself up for where you are does not work. It drives you into the gutter. The most motivating force in the world, on the planet, based on research, hands down, is empowerment, encouragement, support, and celebration. In a moment when you feel alone, you can give yourself the boost, the support, the empowerment that you need to keep going. The research is clear on this. Being hard on yourself is not motivating. It's demotivating. And if you already feel like a failure or you feel a sense of shame or you're overwhelmed, beating yourself up for where you are does not work. It drives you into the gutter. The most motivating force in the world, on the planet, based on research, hands down, is empowerment, encouragement, support, and celebration. In a moment when you feel alone, you can give yourself the boost, the support, the empowerment that you need to keep going. The research is clear on this.
So for those of you who don't know, this is Mel Robbins. She's written multiple books. The one that I've read of hers that I liked and I actually gave out as Christmas gifts was called The High Five Habit. She goes in so much research, scientific research about the brain and everything that she just talked about. But it was so refreshing when I saw this. And that's where, you know, this is what we talk about so much on the live streams, on our weekend updates, is that empowerment, that encouragement of track your word count. Make sure you are logging that, because on those days when you don't feel like writing or you get discouraged, you have that visible number to remind you of like, nah, dude, you can do it. The empowerment of, I am going to write the story I want to write. The encouragement of, no, I know I can do this because so many others have done it before me. Stop beating yourself into the gutter of, oh, I wasn't able to write this week, or I wasn't able to do this. This isn't worth it. I'm back. None of that is healthy. None of that is actually going to help you. So continue to focus on those positive things, that empowerment of, I am able to do this. Love it.
Or fear. Just because you cannot see the value doesn't.
Nope. That's not it.
Fear will teach you.
Oh, no, that wasn't it. My bad.
Just because you cannot see the value doesn't mean there is no value. When you're fighting through, no one says, hey, in 2 years, you'll be a different man or woman because of what you're going through now. Hey, that hole you feel in your heart, that will be the exact same space the best things in your world will occupy someday. Hey, the loneliness or exhaustion or fear will teach you to truly appreciate the other side as soon as you emerge from this valley. You don't need to see it. You don't need to completely understand it, but you need to know it's there. And you need to know that the difficult times, more than any others, are taking you to where you need to be. Just because you cannot see the value doesn't mean there is no value. When you're fighting through, no one says, hey, in 2 years, you'll be a different man or woman because of what you're going through now. Hey, that hole you feel in your heart, that will be the exact same space the best things in your world will occupy someday. Hey, the loneliness or exhaustion or fear will teach you to truly appreciate the other side as soon as you emerge from this valley. You don't need to see it. You don't need to completely understand it, but you need to know it's there. And you need to know that the difficult times, more than any others, are taking you to where you need to be. Just because.
So, as you guys know, exactly that of not giving up, the thinking that when some people say it's not worth it, we keep telling ourselves that it is. The 2 years of doubt, is able to equate to these things that, now that I hold them, I look back of like, man, 2 years ago. And what was great was I got to send these books out to someone yesterday. And I realized as I pulled up their information, it was exactly 2 years ago that I met them. I met them when I was first writing this book. This book didn't even exist when I met them, but I started writing it as we worked in the hospital together during COVID. And so I was a couple chapters in when I left, but I continued on the process, and she wrote me and said, "Hey, I still want your books. I remember you telling me about this project. I still want them. How can I get them?" But of course, she wanted them signed. And so 2 years now has gone by, but this staying motivated, staying dedicated is there. And so, yeah, you're going to have some nights of loneliness, some nights of doubt, some nights of questioning whether it's worth it. But if you can just see that future into 2 years and how much this process is going to help you and change you over time, don't give up on the process. All right.
At the end of sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place. Sometimes life is like this dark tunnel. You can't always see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if you just keep moving, you will come to a better place.
So just like he was saying, right? You don't see those values in the moment, but you will. You will see it.
Understand? It's not
There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem.
I just beat me. This ain't about nobody else. I don't care about anybody else. I have no worry or gripe about the next man or woman's journey or their level of success. That's not what I'm up against.
Yeah.
If I can continue to outdo me from the day before, then I'm ahead.
In the battle, you find peace. When you go to war with yourself, you find a lot of peace because you know exactly who you are. And that is where the peace is really found for me.
No one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. Unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not.
There's no hacks, bro. It's you against you. You against you. And if you misunderstand that, you have a real problem.
I just beat me. This ain't about nobody else. I don't care about anybody else. I have no worry or gripe about the next man or woman's journey or their level of success. That's not what I'm up against.
Yeah.
If I can continue to outdo me from the day before, then I'm ahead.
In the battle, you find peace. When you go to war with yourself, you find a lot of peace because you know exactly who you are. And that is where the peace is really found for me.
No one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. Unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not.
So for those of you who have been with the channel for a while, you know that, I was in the military. I helped train troops and get them through the process of technical training. And that was the hardest part, is when I had to see them leave and go on to the rest of the Air Force. And I told them, I said, my biggest goal is to help you learn this motivational mindset that allows you to keep going when it gets rough. I am not going to be in the rest of the Air Force with you. I wish I could. I wish I could have gone and followed all of my troops around and been right there in the trenches with them, because that is how much I loved them. But I knew how rough the Air Force was, and I knew that I needed to get them resilient mentally. I knew I needed to help develop this motivational mindset and this empowered mindset that can last and go through. Unfortunately, I wasn't successful in some, and I've lost troops, but it's the same. And that's why I wanted to bring this over into my weekend updates and share exactly. This is what I did in the military, was constantly help support troops and soldiers and everything. And so it's like, why can't I do this with my followers? Why can't I do this with other authors and help them? But I really loved Mel Robinson's last statement of, no one is going to do this for you. I cannot write your books for you. I cannot edit your books for you. I can't do the work for you, but I can at least help give you advice or share the skills I've learned, share the experience I've gained. I can do those parts. And we can do this every week of trying to keep you motivated and trying to tell you it's worth it, but you still have to put in the work and effort. So hopefully you take these things, these motivations, these thoughts, these goals every weekend, and you apply them to your life. That is the biggest part. It's all great to say that we're going to do something. It's all good to dream about doing something. It's great to plan and project a goal, but you still have to put in the action. You still have to apply it. You still have to take the first step. Big Rob coming in. I loved these. If I can continue to outdo me from the day before, then I'm ahead. And no one is coming. You've got to push yourself. And dude, like, we've got Zeckler, we've got you, we've got a few of our others, Charles Dean. We've got a lot of people in the community right now, whether it's a reader or writer, but they're like, you know what? I need to take a better stance with my health. I think even Ryan Maxwell, like some of our people who are just like, you know what? I need to take a moment to reflect. And I realize now I need to take a better step towards whatever that goal is. And it's exactly that thing of like I just said, no one's going to come and do this for you. You have to do it for yourself. So hopefully, as these people up here, Nick Boslow and Ryan Maxwell and Rob and I, like we message each other, we encourage each other. Q, who's doing his thing, we're all in here to try to encourage one another of, dude, take the steps, keep going, don't give up. But you still have to apply it. You still have to get there. All right, you guys, that's all I've got. As far as the updates, as far as the stuff.
And that.
So what else do you guys want to talk about? I am really excited, actually. Today, I have decided I am going to go to the coast. I don't care what the weather is out at the beach, whether it's stormy, doomy, gloomy, whether it's raining. I have wanted to get to the coast for weeks. I have not done so because I've been so focused on getting book 3 done. And even though I'm in the editing phase, even though I need to rewrite 2 chapters, I told myself, we're going to the fucking coast this weekend. So that is what I am planning to do as soon as we are done here. But this time is really for you guys. So what do you guys want to talk about? What's on your mind? What's on your heart? What do you guys want to share? What do you guys got going on? Big John A. Douglas dropping the deuce peace sign. Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming by, dude. Keep growing, keep grinding, man. Love your channel, love your content. You're awesome, dude. Thanks for all your support. Florida's coast is about a 3-minute walk. So when you get over here, dude, November. Honestly, that is my goal. My goal is for November, probably right after or right before the Thanksgiving time to come out and spend some time. So yeah, it's the Timo Burnham. Howdy, dude. Thanks for stopping by, my man. I feel like Timo always shows up right as we're concluding. Like, honestly, there is literally, it almost seems to repeat itself of like, okay, what do you guys want to talk about? Let's start to wrap this up. And then Timo just comes in and drops in like, yo, what's going on, guys? So, dude, it's great to see you, my man. Thanks for coming in. Holding you to it, witnesses. Yes. Everyone in here knows. I will say it publicly. We're planning on November that Unwired up there, Big Rob down in the chat. I'm going to go out and see him in Florida, and we're going to spend some time relaxing on the beach, smoking some cigars, and hopefully getting some writing in too, because why not? The next author interview is ? Oh, Brandon, that is a great question. That is a great question. I was hoping to have an author on. I reached out to them and they said that they needed more time. It wasn't working for them in their writing schedule, and they had some other personal stuff going on. So we had to push that author interview back into March. Also, I do have one or two other authors that I still want to talk to, but I am working through their book material. So hopefully next month. And this was something, I mean, let's be open and honest and upfront. Been a busy day. I actually got to run again. I've got to lift and then get some editing in. All right, Timo, thanks for stopping by, man. So, Warrior Bernard, Big Brandon in the chat, the next author interview. It was one of those things where I kind of planned and expected to step away from the author interview side of things just because it was taking so much time away from me. Now, when I was full-time writing, dude, I could do it all day long. Why? Because I would write in the morning, and then in the afternoon, I got to relax, decompress, get a lot of other reading in, reading other people's work. Now that I'm doing the 9-to-5 job and the pressure is so much more intense when you're also adding in writing, because let's be real, the writing now, as Rob can kind of attest to, not only are we writing in the morning every day for about 2 hours, but now when I come home, I try to do it about another hour or two if I can in the evening time. So that's an extra 20 hours of work per week that I'm doing. So it's a 60-hour work week in 5 days. I get so exhausted. And though I love doing the author interviews on Sundays, Sundays are mostly the meal prep days and everything else, and then trying to read other people's work. I'm at this point where I'm like, you know what? I may not do an author interview every week. It may only be 1 or 2 a month. But for me, the most important part was coming and doing the writing updates on Saturdays with you guys. And I also felt like, you know what? Maybe one of these days we'll just bring in other authors on the weekend updates and we'll just hang out. We'll have fun and we'll talk there. So that's at least the update I can give you. There are about 4 or 5 other authors that I really want to have on author interviews and talk to. I'm just at this point where it's not really working well in the schedule with everything else going on. And I also really want to read their work, so we have something to talk about before we jump on with them. But the author interview coming up that has been delayed twice now, I think is going to be a really great one for Lit RPG. There's one other one, actually 2 other ones that I think are going to be really good. I just don't have those projected yet. So I'm sorry, man. I wish I had a better answer for you, but loved your storyboard video. How about your writing tracker or any that are really good? Okay, that's a good question. I will absolutely share. I just want to see which one I should pull up to show you. Like, is it going to give away any information or stuff like that, right? So let me go into my Google Drive and find you. I can find a good one for you. I think it'll be from the Dying Breed series, but it should work for what we're intending. Of course. So for the writing tracker, you can do it in any type of data management, whether it's Excel or Google Pages or whatever, Sheets, Pages, whatever. I have chosen to just do it on Google. And the reason I did that was because I was able, there's one or two times where I had writing competitions with friends where it was just a thing that we did together. And so you can share that page and you can add in their details as well. So that was why we did it that way. So I'm trying to get this account set up really quick here for you. And while I do that, Brandon's asking, where's Bo Nix ending up? Dude, that is a good question too. I'm not sure. As you probably may have heard from me talking about my schedule, I don't really have a whole lot of time to stay on top of the college scene right now of where people may or may not be going. Back up your stuff on any device. No, thanks. Get out of here, Google. What's going on, bro? What is going on, Google? Really? Can we just work for right now? Do you think we can do that? I don't know. I mean, I've seen the Oakland Raiders have had some interest in him. I've seen a few other teams mention just from like the headlines that I see whenever I am scrolling through on my few things, but I am not sure. And I'm not honestly sure. Denver, I think has mentioned some interest in him. I could see him doing Denver. I could see him doing Oakland. I think he is going to do very successful in any of the places he goes. And the reason I say that is because of the amount of time he spent in the college sphere, right? The Dying Breed. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. This is not working. Or it's not the page I want. I'm trying to find the other one for you here, Rob. So yeah, so we'll see where Bo Nix goes. It will, like I said, it will be interesting to see which team does pick him up. Dude, what the fuck, Google? Like, why are you doing this to me? Google's being dumb, you guys. Okay, so let's go into. If anything, dude, I will just have to show you the one that I'm currently utilizing, but the Dying Breed one would be a much better file for you to see because of how I break down all of the word counts. Oh my gosh, this is going to drive me crazy. I need to go in and I need to do some data cleanup. That's for damn sure. Let's open up this one and then I can show you. Let's see what this one looks like. Okay. Let me go ahead and delete these two things out and then I will show you. Project General Motors. Yep. Okay. So I stopped sharing that screen. Okay. So I will show you how I did two different ones. Shabam. Always prefer a healthy and somewhat rested, is it possible, TJ, over an author interview. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate that. Okay, so this is the word tracker, the word count tracker that I had for Enmity, which is book 2 of the Bloodbath series. Now, One of the things you'll see here, this is actually book 1 over here. And then oh no, this is just book 1, isn't it? Yep. So, oh yeah, Bloodbath Revision. Never mind, it's not Enmity. This is book 1. So this was the original sheet over here, chapters and then word count. And like I said, you guys, if you remember, I wrote 11,000 words and then I completely cut it out, right? So there it is, 11,000. Then once I was done at 137,000, I then came over and I started to do my second pass of it. And I started, I actually added 500 words, and then I added more words. And so by the time I was done, and of course, this is just an auto sum, it got me down to 146,000. Now, what I did was I also put words per page 261. This was the average word count I had for each page in the Dying Breed series. However, Royal Road, when they do their calculations, they use 251 words per page. So there's some variable there. But what that does is when you add in this calculation, it gives you an approximate page total for your word count. So back then, the approximate page count was 561, right? Just doing that simple math. Well, now when I came through and did revision 4, so if you guys remember, I cut out 11,000 words. I then did some complete changes. So when I came over to revision 2, we have chapter 1, which is the prologue, Pulse. So there's that 2288, and down here is when I wrote the prologue. So there's one prologue there, there's another prologue there, and I was trying to write them as I went, but then I finally had the main prologue. I brought it over, and then as you guys see, there's a lot more chapters. That back here, there's 15 chapters. Well, now there's 23 chapters. Why is that? Because I started to edit down, and as you see, 11,500, 19,000, 18,000, 18,000, 11,000, 10,000. I started to realize those chapters were getting too big, and so I broke them down into easier chunks for people to read through. And then I also put the dates in here of when I made those changes, right? Which isn't really important. But again, I brought it all down to where 131, I did my math. It got me to 500 words, okay? So this was how I used to do it for each individual book. And then I did have a master where I had each book. So Dying Breed book 1 had this much word count. Dying Breed book 2 had this much word count, et cetera, et cetera. So I was able to showcase all of my books combined together. I know you track your words daily. Do you just add them to the chapters as you go? Or do you do a sprint, hourly, daily, total, and then bring it over? This looks like a summary of your daily, weekly work. Does this make sense? No, it 100% makes sense. This was, so again, this was the system, the format that I did when I was writing full time. So obviously when I just wake up and I do this, I would normally try to write a chapter at a time or 2 chapters, whatever it is, but I always would put the end total here. But I wasn't necessarily worried about a daily goal because I just knew from full-time writing, when you're doing it every day for, 4 to 6 hours, 8 hours a day, you can easily see how many words you got in that day, right? So now this is where I took the writing, I took this right here. This was our writing competition that I had with 2 other people. And again, like I talked about, 20 books to 50K. Here was 20 books to 50K where Rob and I actually met. So now this is how I track my year from November to November. So after I met Rob, I did 15,904 words, 43, 49, and here we are sitting at 28,000. This was my grand total that I had already projected when I made my new tracker. And so this is now going to calculate what this end total is, and it's going to automatically update it for me, right? So it's going to add all of this in. Now, So that's how I know my new total is 819,797. So when I also break it down, this got out of hand. This was supposed to be my chapter count for book 3 of the Bloodbath series. And so as you could see, I would start to write chapter by chapter. So, okay, well, here's the end of November. So this total is going to be down here, 15,904, 15,904. So I started in December, obviously 0. So here you go. I started this chapter at 212. The next day it was December. So I brought this over. So this is actually one chapter, but this is going to apply towards December. And then I go down chapter by chapter. So 43,327 for all of these words, 43,325. Whoop, I did fuck that up. Never mind. Then I come over to January, and here you go. Here's the chapter that I fucked up on and I need to rewrite. Here's the other chapter that I need to rewrite. And then I come over and then here's GM. So I know that this was a totally different project. So don't apply this total to book 3, right? So all of this gets calculated down below as well as it's coming up here to give me the motivation so I can see it in a much easier condensed form. Now, let's go in and actually look at how I break this up differently. So day word count. So as you can see here, like this one may be 4,976. Well, let's say if I started out at 200, I ended my writing day at 26:23, but I wasn't done with writing that chapter. So I would put in where was the word count that I left off at. Well, I left off at 6,953. By the time I was done writing for that day, it was at 9,802. So that gave me my difference. So I know that my daily word count for the day is at 2,849. So the next question you may have is, well, TJ, that's great, but what if I write more than one chapter in a day? Well, then 2,849 comes over here because this is where I started. And then if I wrote another chapter and I finished it that day, I just add that total in. And you can keep going up and it's going to give you the final daily total of what you wrote. So again, this is literally just for the day, just for the moment that I'm writing. At the end of the day, though, it all is going to come over here and it's going to be auto-calculated up. Then, as you can see, I already have Project General Motors. I have it completely off and well to the side so that if I'm really exhausted from writing Bloodbath, but I really get excited and I want to just jump into Project General Motors, I know exactly what this total is for this project off to the side. These numbers over here, this is what book 1's total was before it went to Daniel, book 2's total before it went to Daniel, and book 3's current total. So I know that my total for that entire series is just under 400,000 words. Now, I don't like this setup because it's easy to get out of hand. But at the same time, due to the limited amount of time that I have and everything else, I just needed something that was going to work well for me within the moment. So that's what I'm doing here with this one. But I would eventually like to do multiple tabs so that the main page has everything completely shown for each book, because I've written multiple books, multiple series, everything else. But this is at least how I have it set up right now. So yeah, and obviously this is the big one. This is the big one. So, it won't let me zoom in. I was going to zoom in so I could show you. So this number right here is 136,775. This is the most encouraging number for this year, right? Because it reminds me of when I started 4 months ago. This is how much I've written in those 4 months. The other overall bigger number of 819,000 is the second biggest one because it tells me exactly how far I've come in my writing career. And honestly, at this point, like the daily word count doesn't really affect me too much anymore because it's these two numbers up here and it's getting me to see the end goal of getting book 3 done. So this is at least how I have it broken out. I think if I had gone back in time and I would do things differently, I would just have different tabs down here at the bottom. So the Dying Breed Hunters would be here, the Dying Breed Injustice, the Dying Breed Enslavement, the Dying Breed Thievery, the Dying Breed A Forgery of Brothers, the Lost Soul. Then you would have Bloodbath, Enmity, Slaughterhouse, Project Kepler, Project General Motors. They would each have their own tab in one document with a main page that basically looked more like this. That's how I would do it differently if I could. See, I knew that question was coming, Rob. I knew it. A summary page, total words written, year to date, book to date, series to date, then data by sheet tab for digging down. Thanks, got to update mine. Too messy. That's exactly it, man. That is exactly why. But again, like, I see this now, but I couldn't see this when I first started 2 years ago. I would, because I didn't realize 2 years ago where I would be today. If I had realized it then, I would have approached it differently. But at the same time, I was just like, oh no, I'll do individual sheets and da 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 da. So every time I would make a new sheet, I would basically just copy the grand total over, apply it to the next sheet, continue to develop it over time. But yeah, just having one sole document for this. And honestly, this page stays open with me all day long when I am writing, because it's about every 20 to 30 minutes or even an hour sometimes, but almost every 20 to 30 minutes, this is getting updated with the most recent data, because it is so encouraging when you're down here and you're writing it out and you see that little 300 amount click in and you're like, holy shit, like that's a lot. That's a whole page. And then you start diving in and you're like, holy shit, I just wrote 500 words within 20 minutes. That's dope. I remember yesterday when I barely struggled to get 500 words in 2 hours. And here I am getting it in within 20 minutes. That's fucking cool. So this page stays open with me all the time when I'm writing. All the time. Normally, this page, this screen to my left is the storyboard. And then this is over to my right. And the manuscript is in the middle, and I will do that. So yeah, so that's normally how I do it. Rob equals TJ minus 2 years. Hey man, this is where I love to share my insight with you guys. I love to share my advice and just say this is what's currently working for me. This is why I'm doing it this way now, and this is how I did it in the past. So if I could do it again, da da da. So yeah, take whatever you want, apply it. Absolutely. All right, what else do we got? Link to Facebook stream, not on your site. I'm on YouTube. All good. I'm in. Okay, feels like I'm in the right company. My mere 2008 munch. Oh my gosh, I'm reading Rob's private DMs to me. That's funny, dude. Okay, yeah, you guys, that's it. What else do you guys want to know about? So definitely hit it up in the chat. Let me know. I'll give you guys a few more minutes before I head out to the coast. Whoa, what did I just do? What button did I just click? Holy cow. Oh man. But yeah, it's good times, you guys. It is good times. And that's where, honestly, I mean, it's frustrating when you're going through the editing phase and you're just like, I want to be writing. I want to be writing. But the editing phase is just as important and just as critical, kind of like I was talking about the other day, or maybe at the earlier part of the stream, when you get to look back and you reread your work and you forget what you wrote and you kind of get that same chuckle and that same laugh, you're like, oh man, that was a good part. I like that part. That worked out really well. So yeah, but all right, all good here, man. Enjoy the coast and thanks for everything today. Absolutely, my friend. Thank you so much for your support. So, all right, you guys. Well, that is it. I don't see anything else in the chat. We've been here for 1 hour and 15 minutes. Thank you so much for coming by, you guys. Again, a huge thank you to the Patreon community, the Dying Breed, Warriors Bernard. Fighters, Maxwell Foster Q, Soldiers, Boslow, Wolfie, Unwired, Defenders, LG, Jodan, and Masifa. Would not be here without you guys. So thank you so much. And you guys have a great fucking week. Get out there, kick ass, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, I don't believe in destiny. I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me. You ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes. Call me aggressive with my flow. Call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win. I won't stop till the end, no. Some injuries, mentally and physically. Studied them religiously so I don't repeat history. And people won't admit to me they don't want a victory. Bad enough to get a C, they'd rather just go leave it be. And oh, this journey I've been on since 13. Working hard and learning, never stopping searching. Yeah, it's burning, all this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win. I won't stop till the end, no.